everyone, and welcome to 2-Player Quest, where I help you on your quest to find the best 2-player board games for you. In today's video, I have Frosthaven by Cephalofair. After travelling through the frozen north, you and your fellow mercenaries have been tasked with rebuilding Frosthaven. To rebuild the settlement, you'll need to gain resources, make decisions, and to defend the settlement when necessary. But how does the sequel stand up to the original, and is it worth your money? Let's find out. Frosthaven is a game for 1 to 4 players that plays in 30 minutes per player according to the box, though I disagree. I would say it's about an hour per player, depending on how quickly the players play, of course, but that also doesn't include the city management phase, which also takes about a quarter of an hour per time. It's at a 4.41 on Board Game Geek for complexity, so it's definitely a complex game. And it is a medium luck kind of game. Just like with Gloomhaven, it depends on what the enemies draw, it depends on your modifications that you draw, the modifier deck, and stuff like that. So in general, the same as Gloomhaven, medium luck. This is what the board of Frosthaven will look like at the start of session number 0 of Frosthaven for 2 players. You can see the characters and the enemies and some obstacles. I'm going to quickly show you everything we have. So here we have the Drifter with all his information, his cards, we have the goals. So we have the main book for the scenarios, then you have the scenario book, the section book, which gives you extra information. We have the events that we'll come to in a moment, the rules. And here you can see how we sort of organize our Frosthaven in boxes, and you have the Frosthaven box and some of the extra organization things that I really appreciate in Frosthaven. So as with Gloomhaven, you read your scenario, you set it up, it will tell you what to do. You then gain your mission objectives that you can choose one from. Then, at the start of a turn, you choose 2 of your cards, you play a top action and a bottom action, and you can choose the initiative that you want to choose from those 2 cards. For example, the Drifter is going to go on number 23, move 4, and then attack 3 things if he wants to, but there's only 2 enemies at this point, and give them muddle at range 2. Once everyone has chosen, you show at what initiative you go, and then you check what initiative the monsters go at. In this case, the hounds are going at 19. So, as the 19 is lower in initiative order, they go first, starting with number 1, and they do their actions. Then it is up to the players to do their actions. When it comes to attacking, you have the modifier deck, just like in Gloomhaven, and in this case you would do +2 damage. You keep going in your turns until either the players have lost or completed the scenario, as it says in their scenario. Once you completed the scenario, you gain the XP, you gain rewards, and in Frosthaven, in comparison to Gloomhaven, you head over to the city management phase. And that is what I'm going to tell you a bit more about. If you want a more detailed instruction, I suggest you either go back to my Gloomhaven video, as I went into bigger detail in that video, or quickly check out one of the other many videos that explain how to play Gloomhaven, or Frosthaven, the rules at least. I want to go a bit more into the city management phase. So the city management phase involves, first of all, the passage of time, which is the things at the top here. So every time you've finished a quest, you place an X on the next possible week, basically, and sometimes you need to write stuff down that you need to read when that time comes. Then you have the outpost event, which is just like the city event in Gloomhaven. You read, you choose the options, and you see what you get. But in comparison to Gloomhaven, in Frosthaven you can have battles in the outpost event, because people might come to attack you. But that's why you have soldiers, you have walls, and these are all things that you build up. After that you have the building operations, you have several buildings that you have. So you can choose to buy wood, you can choose to buy stone, sometimes you can make potions, plant plants if you've unlocked the gardens, stuff like that can be done at that point. Then you have the downtime, that's mainly in which you change characters, if you can retire, for example. This is where you also level up. You choose your perks. You can craft items, you can brew potions, sell items, purchase items if you have the right setup, and this is also where you would purchase enhancements, again, if you have unlocked these buildings. Then lastly, in the city management phase is the construction phase, in which you can build, upgrade, or rebuild buildings in Frosthaven. So you can build new buildings by paying the cost, you can upgrade buildings to make them better, or you can rebuild them after they've, for example, been burnt down by one of the many creatures that are trying to attack this settlement. And then you go on to your next scenario. Teaching new players how to play a game like Frosthaven is going to take you a bit of time. I would say if you're completely new to the Gloomhaven Frosthaven universe and you don't know any of the rules, it will probably take you 20 to 30 minutes to explain the basics. But if you are coming from something like Gloomhaven or Jaws of the Lion, you maybe need about 5 to 10 minutes to basically explain the things that are different in this game. After that, you probably want to take up to 15 minutes to look at your characters, what they do, how things interact, because the characters are very different in this game. And then when it comes to city management, which I would suggest you don't start teaching people until that time comes, and you first do the scenario so you can at least get into the game, will probably also take another 15 minutes, because there is a lot to do in city management. I would recommend Frosthaven to, well, first of all, obviously, anybody who's played Gloomhaven or Jaws of the Lion and really liked it, you will probably really like Frosthaven. I'm saying probably here because in comparison to Gloomhaven, Frosthaven has a lot of special rules, which we are enjoying less and less as we are playing the game. These special rules mean that basically every scenario has half a page worth of special rules, and all the characters have special rules and have to do something special. In Gloomhaven, it was more, oh, so this character just so happens to have the med packs that they can give to other players, or this character was either ranged or it was close combat, and yes, some of them had conjuring or summoning, but it was all still quite simple. In this game, they've really added a lot more complex characters that are a lot more complex to play, so that is something that you want to have in a game. That is something you have to want to have in the game if you're going to buy this game. But in general, if you're still looking for a very long campaign game with sleight hand management, a bit of deck building, and an interesting combat system, then this is still good for you. We like Frosthaven a lot, but we're also kind of hating it at the same time. We like a lot of things that Frosthaven has to offer. We like the event/city management part. That's really fun. It's the building up of stuff. You need to try and craft your own stuff. That's also a very interesting mechanic. But one of the things that's really annoying us at this point, and is getting more annoying, is that everything has to be special. So every character has special abilities, but for those special abilities don't really work together with other player characters' special abilities, because the banner spear needs a friend behind it, so it needs one of its banners or possibly a summon from someone else, but everything needs to be at the start, and one person needs water to do work well, but another person needs lava to work well at the front line, and another person throws stuff at the front line, and in general those characters don't work really well together because everything happens at the front and everything needs to have this special effect which is a negative to everybody else. So it's really odd, and it's something that we're not quite enjoying. There is no basic character, no easy character that you can play. And what's frankly annoying us even more, because the characters you can sort of get used to, is the scenarios that are constantly having special rules. So after about 15 to 20 scenarios, basically every scenario you come across has half a page worth of special rules which aren't always clear and aren't always correct, which is very annoying when you've done a scenario 3 times and then you think to yourself, how on earth is this possible? And then you find out that the text is just incorrect. That is one of the other things that is a shame about Frosthaven at this point, is the amount of errors there are in this game. You would think, well, it was a big game, it was delayed for that long, these errors shouldn't be in there, but unfortunately there are. There are a lot of errors, and if you think something might not be quite right, you need to check that it's not an error. So that's one of the things that frankly really disappointed us in this game. Having said that, there are, again, still some very nice things about this game. It has a bit more box management to make it easier to basically get to all your supplies, but it is still a very big game. We still use organizing things, tools of our own, because, well, it's a big game and everybody has their own organizing system. But in general, that is a lot better than in Gloomhaven. And like we said before, the city management, it's still a very good game. The loot deck is also an interesting addition to you don't know what you are getting, and you can sometimes get tons of herbs and sometimes you do get many. So that is also a lot of fun to play with. So in general, we still really like Frosthaven. We haven't actually finished a campaign yet. That will come at some point. We are people who have waves of interest in certain games, and Frosthaven just hasn't completely peaked the interest yet, but it will certainly get played at some point. Frosthaven works very well at pretty much every player count. Now, there are some player counts in which the game is easier, and that would be the 4 players mainly, but it is still doable with 2. Now, when you are looking into how many players you want to play this game with, there are a few things to take into consideration. One of those is how long it's going to take to play the game. And then I don't mean one scenario, I mean the whole Frosthaven. Because if you play one game a week and you have at least 50 scenarios in a campaign, then you're basically almost a year later with only playing once a week. And if you do it once every 2 weeks, that's 2 years. So that's a big time investment in a game that you have to be willing to do. What we usually do is we play 2 characters each. So we can basically play whenever we want, and we can play, multiple scenarios in a day even, if that is what we choose. So that does make it a bit more easily accessible for us, but it is certainly something that needs to be thought of before investing a large chunk of money in a game like Frosthaven if you're not going to finish it. And that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching our review of Frosthaven. If you want to see another one of my videos, please click up here. If you're interested in a Frosthaven playthrough, we are considering a Frosthaven playthrough, then put it in the comments below and we'll see what we can do. But for now, I want to thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time.